Welcome to Scott and Cam Talks. In this edition, we'll explore the features and benefits of the RA series of rupture discs and assemblies. A typical rupture disc assembly consists of a reusable holder and a replaceable disc, both designed to fail or rupture at a predetermined pressure or temperature.
A successful installation is one that provides reliable overpressure relief when required, while eliminating unwanted nuisance bursts. Our goal at ZOOK is for every installation to be successful.
A successful installation is not a fluke. They're actually planned. Proper disc selection, proper assembly of the disc and holder, and proper installation of the assembly into the system are a must.
The RA series is a simple, straightforward design that makes it easy for your installation to be successful.
What you see on the table here are all the components of the RA series product. 4 distinct rupture disc designs that fit into one universal holder.
Over the years, there's been many different reverse-acting designs introduced to the marketplace, making it very difficult for the average design engineer to select the right disc for the right application. What ZOOK's done is boiled it down and simplified it into 4 designs, with the primary selection criteria being pressure and the secondary being the medium, liquid, or gas.
A simple approach.
A simple approach. The first one is ultra-low burst pressure liquid or gas approach, the RA4. The next one is the RA6, which is a low-pressure liquid or gas service disc.
Next is the RA8, which is a medium pressure gas and liquid disc. And the RAX, which is a high pressure gas only disc. All of these discs are what we call reverse acting. What that means is that the disc dome is placed in compression. Pressure acts on the convex side of the disc, and opening actually occurs in 2 phases. First, the pressure exceeds the strength of the dome, causing it to collapse. As the dome expands through the disc transition, it's opened via one of 2 ways. This disc has what's called a shearing on it, with a strong support on the downstream side with very sharp knife edges on it that actually cuts the metal open as it transitions through. This disc actually is scored. There's a score pattern placed into the disc, in this case a cross score. Some designs have a circular score, and the disc actually tears along the scores as the dome collapses and opens along a predetermined pattern. 4 disc designs, all designed to fit into the same holder. Now let's talk about the holder.
This is an RAH rupture disc holder. What looks like a really simple design is actually packed with features and benefits that will make your installation successful. Let's take a look at them. The first thing you're going to notice is the different shape. Most people are familiar with a round rupture disc holder, and this one clearly is not. But the shape enables us to machine the holder for installation into various different domestic and international flange designs, including ASME, PED, and JIS. The next thing you're going to notice is these lugs cast right into the holder. They're integral, not optional. They allow for a couple features. One is this pre-torque assembly screws, okay, which allow the holder to be assembled in a maintenance shop properly. There are other features that we're going to discuss about the pre-torque bolts when we talk about the sealing mechanism. The next feature you're going to see are these flange holes drilled right into the holder. These flange holes are drilled flange and pressure rating specific. So that means if they're designed to go into an ANSI class 150 flange, that's all they can fit in. There is no possibility of installing the assembly into an incorrect pressure class.
Another feature of the through holes is that you can use them for hanging in a vertical or a vertical installation. The holes actually allow a bolt to be placed through it and align the holder perfectly in a vertical installation. This is an aluminum sample that we use for demonstration purposes, but we sell these up to 12-inch in size, and you can imagine the weight there. I think they weigh a couple of 100 pounds, trying to orient that properly in a flange. That's a very, very handy feature. Next, the advantage of the through holes is the fact that they guarantee alignment centered in the flange. That's critical for proper flow characteristics. The overall height of a holder is what we call face-to-face. A big challenge in the rupture disc industry is the fact that there's no universal standards for face-to-face dimension. All holders come with their own unique face-to-face dimension. A challenge with replacing a holder, therefore, with one of these designs is guaranteeing that the height matches. The ZOOK RAH series is a cast design, and we have many overall heights for our casting that can be machined to match just about any existing face-to-face holder of any manufacturer. If you supply us with the manufacturer or the model number of the holder you're replacing, we can machine a variable overall height in the holder to guarantee that it's simply plug and play and no plumbing modifications are required whatsoever. Now let's take a look at the internal features and benefits of the RAH holder.
We've disassembled the RAH holder to show you what's underneath the hood, so to speak. The first thing you're going to notice is a machine counterbore in the inlet that's used to align the different components with each other. You take a disc and put it in, you'll see that it drops right down into the counterbore, resting flat on the sealing surface below it.
Yeah, centering the disc completely in the inlet.
You'll notice also there's an offset pin that has to align with the offset hole in the disc. This is used to ensure that the disc doesn't get put in upside down. You can see if we try to do it upside down, the disc is lifted up and cocked, and if you still persisted, you'll see that it just isn't going to work.
Yeah, and that's actually a critical feature because disc orientation in a reverse acting design is critical. Placing a reverse acting disc upside down in your installation can be extremely dangerous. The next thing you'll notice on the holder is this raised thin portion here on the inlet. It's what we call our inlet bite. And that serves the purpose of providing a seal, a metal-to-metal seal, specifically sealing the inlet to the disc itself. This bite is machined into the holder, and it's a very efficient sealing mechanism.
Yes, it's about 5 thou high, about 20 thou wide. And when torqued properly in the assembly, the bite engages right into the disc material.
The next thing you'll notice is what we call this offset shoulder. You can just see in there that the outlet has a slightly smaller ID than the inlet. And that's actually a critical function of our RA series holders. That offset shoulder provides support, 360-degree support, to what we call the transition area of the disc. It's actually a critical area of the disc to provide consistent support for the dome. As the pressure is applied, the load is transferred down to the flat seat area in this transition area, right on that corner there. It's critical to support that on this side to provide proper support, excellent burst consistency, and very good cycle life. That's actually a critical feature of our RA series holders.
The next feature is the pre-torque bolts. A lot of people ask us, why do you need pre-torque bolts? What's the big advantage? And the pre-torque bolts offer several advantages. It's just not one. Their primary function is to allow the installer to install the disc into the holder in a maintenance shop under controlled conditions, tighten the bolts to the correct torque, and properly engage the bite into the disc material.
You'll notice that the bolts are actually blue. They actually have a coating on them, and the coating really serves two purposes. One, they're carbon steel bolts, and they will rust, so the coating is a corrosion-resistant layer. Secondly, they act as a lubricant. It's important to get the proper torquing load on the disc to provide the proper seal, and the bolts need to be lubricated, and the Teflon or the coating acts as a lubricant to ensure proper torquing and therefore load applied to the disc itself.
These aren't your average bolts available at the local hardware store. These are very high-strength bolts that are designed to be able to take the torque, the recommended torque, and do their job. A lot of people ask us, well, if I've got a pre-torqued assembly, what about the flange bolts? Do I need to be critical about them? And the answer is yes, you still need to tighten up the flange bolts correctly, because they're what creates this the compression to the flange gasket seals, both top and bottom of the assembly.
Yeah, remember in a proper assembly, there's actually 3 joints or places of connection. There's above the holder, below the holder, and the disc to the inlet itself. The pre-torque bolts ensure a proper engagement of the bite into the disc and therefore a good seal there. But in order to seal the gasket above and below, you still need the proper loading or the proper torquing applied by the flange bolts to accomplish that.
Another advantage of the ZOOK design is these, oh, there we go, these caps. The bolts are a standard hex socket head design. Okay? That offers two advantages. One, it's a standard socket head. You don't need specialized tools.
Yep.
You've got a standard Allen keys in your.
It's a standard SAE styles.
Right?
Yep.
But out in the field, a cavity like that can fill up with debris, making them useless. So what we've done is we have these plastic caps that go in and keep the debris away from the socket.
Trust me, that seems like a little thing, but your pipe fitters will love it. They're nothing worse than having to clean out or not being able to even get your Allen key in there, because you won't be able to get that apart if you don't. Another advantage of a pre-torque assembly is the fact that you can assemble the disc away from where it has to be installed in a controlled environment. Most importantly, not just to seat the disc, but also to provide proper parallelism to the assembly. If you actually clamp it in correctly, you won't provide a parallel load to the disc, and it will leak. And that's a critical component of a pre-torque assembly.
So the assembly, the device is assembled in the controlled maintenance shop and then taken out to the installation location and put between the piping.
Absolutely, absolutely.
How about options?
Well, first of all is materials. ZOOK stocks the RH series of holders in carbon steel, stainless, and Hastelloy materials in multiple lengths, so we can accommodate all your overall height or face-to-face requirements. They can also be drilled to accept, for gauge taps, to accept if you need monitoring requirements. They can be coated in multiple anti-corrosion coatings. We can supply them with Teflon sleeves on the inlet side for extremely corrosive environments. We could also supply them with J-hooks for another extra security for alignment to guarantee proper alignment in your flanging.
The RA series is a simple, straightforward design that will make your installation successful. Thank you.
Thank you.